Hi everyone and welcome to a quick look at my Laing stabilizer. It is the P-04S version. I'm going to show you now how to balance the Glidecam. I've not balanced it yet ever on my Canon EOS 6D. I'm using the 6D and the Canon 16-35 f2.8L. One of the first things first, I'm going to zoom out to 16mm. Because you don't want to change the zoom range once you've set it for balancing the Glidecam. Now, I am going to say before I go any further that this is the best Glidecam I've ever seen in my entire life. It's awesome. But hopefully this video is going to go on a little bit. It could go on for 20 minutes, right? I don't know if it will, but basically I don't want to give you settings of how to set yours up. I want you to understand how it works. It's all right saying, John, what lens did you use? What camera did you use? How far did you set your handle up? How low did you have the sled? What were your drop time? And all this lot. What you need to do is understand how it works. And if you understand how it works, then you don't need to know any settings off anybody. You can set it up yourself. Now, I have used this with a Canon 760D. I used it with a Panasonic G7. And I've used it with a Canon EOS 70D. One of the reasons I'm playing with it with my full frame now is because the 16-35 lens isn't as wide on a 760D, as you know, because it's an APC size sensor. So I'm going to give it a go on a full frame camera. Now, on the Glidecam, I will show you a couple of close-ups, but basically, you've got, I've put a quick release plate on it. It's up to you whether you want to do that. You don't have to do that. You've got a button here on the side. It's a little twisty button. We've got like a little button which moves the whole thing left to right. Then on the other side, we've got one that moves it front to back. And then obviously you've got all your sled. So one of the first things first. Now you can use, I will do some B-roll anyway so that you can have closes up. Basically, if you, let me just move back. One of the first things first that I recommend is you start with 2 weights on either side. There's a starting point for you. I found out with 2 weights on either side, I went on YouTube, 2 weights either side, my camera balanced up nice, but I wasn't happy with how long, because I'll just show you something. Is it this one? Is that, oh, no, wrong one. It's this one. Basically, I had to have this sled right far down, and I wasn't happy with the size of the Glidecam because basically the Glidecam was really long, and when you're walking around with it in tight spaces, you're smacking it with your legs and stuff. So once I learned how the Glidecam worked, I ignored the YouTube tutorials and I figured out how it worked, and I've now got it running, well, I'll say I've not tried it with a full frame, but I've now got it working with only 1 weight on the bottom. But it is a much heavier lens, and I don't know, I may need 2 weights, we'll see. So one of the first things first, on the Laing P-04S, you can actually slide the handle up and down. You should better see it. Good enough. You can slide the handle up and down. What I usually do as a rough starting point is hold the handle, and you don't want it to hit the top. So basically, I'll just set it there. There you go. What I did there was, if you didn't see that, I locked, the handle came up and locked before it hit the underneath of the sled. So now that's set, but it's a guide. We may tweak it later on to get what you call a better drop time. So that's one of the first things first, so we've done that, right? What I highly recommend is you slacken your weights and you move them fully out. Both the weights fully out. Now, again, this is, I'm going to tell you why to do this, and this is something you can do. You don't have to understand how your Glidecam works. It helps with a pendulum effect so that you don't get as much sway on the bottom end. So always pull your weights out as far as you can. Give them a good nip because you don't want anything moving when you balance your Glidecam. Now, what I'm going to do first of all is I'm just going to let this sled out about half of its distance as a starting point. Yeah? And then one of the first things first, you do have a lever here on the side as well on the Laing. It's a big silver lever. If you slacken it, it now allows me, I'll just show you, you won't see it there, but basically now my camera's rocking backwards and forwards. I'll just take a look there, what? You should better see it moving back. And then if I adjust this one, it'll go left to right. You don't have that too slack, because you see the camera moving under its own weight. So give it a little nip so there's a bit of resistance when you're adjusting your settings. So now there's a right little bit of resistance by nipping this little lever here. So one of the first things first, as a starting point, let's sort of pick the Glidecam. I'm just going to pick it up off the floor, check we're at 16mm, check the memory cards in, and that's it. Right, I'm just going to pick the Glidecam up, and as you can see straight away, it's just fell forward. So what we'll do is I'll move the camera back a bit, and I'll give this a bit more of a nip up this little handle, because it obviously won't stiffen. I'll pick it up again. And again, you can see it flapping round forward. Now, I will tell you that basically, because I now understand the Glidecam, that's happening because there's not enough weight on the bottom. I can move the camera back. Watch, I'll try and move the camera back. I'll move it loads back now. But what will happen now is it'll just tilt back, and I won't be able to get a balance. I'll be adjusting it forward, then it'll tip forward, I'll move it back, and then it'll tip back. If that happens, you just haven't got enough weight on the bottom end of your sled. So you can either add weight or lengthen the sled at the bottom with the bottom lever. But what I'll do is, just for the sake of principle, I'll move it back forward now a little bit. Yep, still doing it. I'll move it back forward again. And basically it's not gonna balance up. You can actually feel the Glidecam's top heavy. Look at it, it's just spinning. So it's actually top heavy. So what we'll try first of all is I'll lengthen the sled fully down now. So I've gone from there to fully out. I'll just nip it up and we'll see what happens there. But remember when I told you that understanding how your Glidecam works, if that does balance now, I'm still not happy with that, because I don't want that sled all the way down there, because it's just too big when you're walking around it, you're smacking it with your knees. So if it does, I'll pull 2 weights out of the bag and I'll add a couple of weights onto the bottom so that I can shorten my sled. So, like I said, so we'll pick it up. Now that don't look bad. Look how it's just fell slowly. That'll balance, will that? It's not balanced now, but it will balance. I know it will definitely balance that. There you go. There's just a little balance on left. I'll just move it forward a bit. Maybe move it left. We're nearly there. We'll go forward, touch more. There you go. And there you go. Look, you see it's not fully balanced, but it's going to balance. It will definitely balance now. Guaranteed. I'm just picking it up. There you go. Pretty much. It's not perfect. It's still a little bit out. Nudge it back that way now. Just give that a little nip. Let's take a look. Let's check how that's nipped. And there you go. There's a balanced Glidecam. It's not perfect, but something's moving. On the Laing, you have a little screw here at the front which just tensions things up. There you go. We're not getting no noise now. Let's just check it again. And there you go. A balanced Glidecam. As fast as that, and that's it. But like I've said, you could say, John, send me how long that is, and send me your... By the way, I'll just say, you can also adjust your drop time by sliding up and down this handle. So if I wanted to shorten the sled a bit, I could move this handle slightly higher, and it would make the bottom feel heavier, and then I could slide it up. But if I do that, then I'm going to hit, when I come up with the handle, if I start to lose it, I'm going to smack the top. So that roughly only wants moving if you really have to move it. So now basically, I'm happy with the Glidecam. We're going to do what you call the drop test. So what you do for the drop test, just check everything's nipped before you do it. You don't want anything coming off yet. That's nipped, front thing's nipped. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to face the Glidecam to the floor, and you let the Glidecam, you hold it horizontal, you let it go 1, 2, 3, 4. That should take about 2.5 to 3 seconds. Now, do you see how it was quite slow? That means that it's not heavy enough on the bottom end. Now, the sled is fully out, so I can't basically adjust it anymore. Now, what I could do, instead of adding weights on the bottom end, I could slacken this a right little bit. The handle, I'm going to do the handle now, the up and down, and I'm going to move it up like 3mm, and that will make the bottom end feel a little bit heavier. So I'll just hold it in my hand, and there you go. I've just moved it a little bit now. It might not be, should be still balanced. Yeah. So now we'll have a go, and we should have a faster bottom end. 1/1000, 2/1000, 3, that's perfect. About 2.5 seconds. I mean, it is when I go fully up now and let go of the Glidecam, it's just hitting the top. But to be fair, that's at a right angle on that. You don't usually get to the angle. So there you go, a balanced Glidecam with the correct drop time. Oh no, it's just moved a little bit now, look, because I've changed the, oh no, let's have a look. No, yeah, somewhere roughly, yeah. Still balanced, and you can see I've balanced the Glidecam. The drop time is around 3 seconds. You can have it a little bit quicker, you can have it a little bit slower, but like I've said, let me help you understand now how we can make it, because like when you stand up with this thing now, honestly, this sled here is huge, and it twats into your legs, and when you're walking around clubs and pubs and that, it's so easy to knock it. So what I want to do is I want to balance it up with a much shorter sled, which means I want that arm a lot less shorter. So what I'll do is I'll just hold my camera while I go get a couple of weights. And what I would do is, if you've got a couple of different cameras and a couple of different lenses, you want to make a little note in your bag and put 60 with a 16 to 35, 2 weights. You can even do rough measurements for your different cameras so that if you're on the field, you're in the ballpark. So now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to pick the camera up now with the extra weights on. So now we're going to pick it up. Now, it hasn't really made much difference to the balance, if you see. Can you see it's still balanced? Because all it is a lot more bottom heavier. But if we go on the drop time now, look at that, whoa, you can see it drops too fast. So what I'll do is, first of all, I'm going to move my handle back down a couple of mil. There, just a couple of mil, just to put that back where it was. And now what we'll do is, I'll half the sled. Now the camera is much smaller. Now, I'm not going to do the balance, I'm just going to have a little go. 1/1000, 2/1000, 3, it's too slow, so I need to lengthen it a little bit more. I just lengthened it, so you go 1/1000, 2/1000, little bit quick, but that would work. 2 seconds is okay, but I'll just I'll do it to 3. So what I want to do now is, oops, I'm going the wrong way. There. Basically, I just dropped it then about 2 mil. So we'll go 1/1000, 2/1000, 3/1000. That'll do. There you go. There's a perfect starting point. And to be fair, the camera should still be balanced. Now, it's slightly... No, it isn't. Basically, it will turn the camera there. Let me just turn this handle around. Let's just check that again, because I moved the handle. 1/1000, 2/1000. That's not right. Look, let's try it again. 1/1000, 2/1000, 3/1000. Yeah, it's still not right. And that's so what we'll do is, I must have moved that handle then. By accident. One 1,000, 2/1000. There you go, that's not so bad. I'll try it one more. 1/1000, 2/1000, 2/1000 there. What we'll do is, I'll just let it in a touch more on the sled. And we'll be happy there. 1/1000, 2/1000, 3/1000. That's about right, in the ballpark. And check everything's locked up. We'll just pick it up, check the balance. The balance could have changed a little bit. I think it has. Look, you see how it's dropping back a touch? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slacken the thing. I always like to have my Glidecam, by the way, slightly nose heavy. Just slightly, so it's pointing down a touch. It keeps the sky out of the shot. And it's slightly, if you look at it, it's slightly leaning to the left. So I'm going that way. So I'm just going to pull it over just a shade. Just lock that up. And we're there. There you go. One balanced Glidecam. Absolutely. It's probably just a touch nose heavy, to be honest, but there you go. You can see it's turning. Touch it like it. See, basically, I don't know if you noticed, but when you're touching the Glidecam, once it's balanced, you need to touch it like it's hot. Like now, I'm actually just tickling this Glidecam, and it's really hard to move because it's pretty heavy. I'm really just touching it, and it's not hardly making a difference. So when you hold your Glidecam, you want to use your finger and thumb, you actually touch it like it's hot. So when you are walking round, you're just using your finger and thumb, and you're just touching it, touch it, let go, touch it, let go, touch it, let go. And you'll find out that you'll have much smoother footage, because if you walk around with it and you try hold it with your finger and your thumb, you can see a little bit of your movement then. Now, don't get me wrong, when you first start off walking, you can use your finger and thumb just when you set off and then get it off. But there's another shot you can do as well. You can hold your sled up, and then you can let it drop down, 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 and then go walking forward like that as a shot. Now, that takes practice, but it is a really, really good shot to do. Obviously, I'll do another video on how to use the Glidecam, but that's how it works. That's how you... Now, to be fair, now that's all set up. If I wanted to, I could do a measurement from this collar to the bottom of the top of the handle, a measurement from there to the sled, and I could mark up. There's even numbers on the side of the Laing P-04S, which I'm not going to show you at the minute, because the way I've just balanced this would work with any decent Glidecam. I'm trying to just make you understand how the settings work, so that you're not just copying somebody else's. Then you go out. I find out that I tend to like a slower drop time, but depending on the wind, I can like if I'm going out in the wind, I would want lots of weights on the bottom, because it makes the Glidecam steadier. If you're indoors, you can have less weights. Like now, this is pretty damn heavy, because I've got two weights on it. I've got a Canon 16-35 version 2.8L, which is heavy, and then there's a 6D, which isn't that bad, but it is weighing in at a fair bit of weight. But like I say, if you understand how it works, what you moving your weights in and out do, I'm not going to move my sled because I'm going to do some shots with it soon, which I'll play in another video, but knowing what moving your sled does, knowing what moving your handle does, knowing how the effects like your drop time, a slower drop time makes the camera more swayy when you're out, more sluggish, because if you think about it, when you're going like this, if it drops slower, it makes the camera more wordy, whereas if it drops faster, the camera's got more of a sudden movement to it. But around 2 to 3 seconds for the drop time is definitely a good place. 2.5 seconds, something like that, is a fantastic place to actually leave it. But like I say, don't mind adjusting your sled a little bit lower and a little bit higher, so you get half a second less, or a second more, and have a play with it yourself. Don't just go on my thingies and think, well, John said it's this. The thing of it is, you've got to play with it yourself and know what happens when you get on the field and something's happening. You're thinking, how can I tweak that? Can I make it better, or do I have to put up with it? And like I say, one of the tweaks is understanding your weights. On YouTube, they all tell you to put 2 weights on, but you just saw I balanced the Glidecam with 1 weight on. Only because I figured out how it works. If not, I would have left it with the 2 weights on, like on all YouTube videos, and I would have lived with it, and it's quite considerably heavier at 2 weights. Don't get me wrong, I like to fly it like this anyway, because I like an heavier Glidecam, because it's more stable, especially in wind. And weddings over here in the UK, it's always windy, but I can't say to the bride, I'm sorry, I can't do you no Glidecam because it's windy. She ain't going to accept that, and that's one of the reasons why I bought this Glidecam. Thanks for watching, please comment and subscribe.